Support WrestleTalk!
Thank you for your support on Patreon, the craftsman Blake Carpenter. Hello and welcome to the WrestleTalk Mecca News! I am a pretty hungover Luke Owen, filling in for Ollie Davis as he's a tad under the weather. Have yourself a super click party! I honestly can't even bring myself to do one. Bah. Give us a subscribe, press the thumbs up, and leave a comment down below to answer our question of the day. Who would you like to see face Becky Lynch at WrestleMania 36 next year? We've got a packed show of news for you today, including an update on The Man's Mania 36 plans, a WWE sponsor unhappy about the Lars Sullivan situation, and who is the latest name to quit WWE. But first, it was a big day here in England yesterday as both Liverpool and Manchester City vied to win the English Premier League in a sporting game of football. That's soccer for our American friends. Sadly for Liverpool, they didn't get enough men to do the goal points, and City won the league because they did do some goals and had more points. Touchdown. And with WWE overseas in the UK for their European tour, Elias decided to take a shot at Liverpool, failing once again to win the football by putting on a Man City shirt for the Liverpool crowd. It went down about as well as you'd think. We now move on to some very sad news as veteran Mexican wrestler Silver King passed away on Saturday night at the age of 51 while wrestling Juventud Guerrera at the greatest show of Lucha Libre event in North London. In a video of the incident shared online, Silver King's troubles appeared to begin after hitting Guerrera with a jumping clothesline, which he then followed up with a near fall but couldn't get to his feet. Presumably stalling for time and unaware of the seriousness of what was happening, Juvi worked the crowd before cutting the match short by pinning Silver King. It's since been reported that Silver King suffered a heart attack during the match. Silver King wrestled for WCW from 1997 to 2000 as part of the promotion's world-renowned cruiserweight division, won championships in CMLL, AAA, and All Japan Pro Wrestling, and starred alongside Jack Black in the comedy film Nacho Libre. Our thoughts are with his family and friends. WWE have had a terrible slew of injuries as of late, with Big E, Akam of AOP, Jeff Hardy, Nia Jax, and more currently on the injured shelf. But perhaps the most sad of all has now been revealed, with MIZDAD telling the Jobbing Out podcast that he suffered broken ribs at WrestleMania at the hands of the best in the world. Shane McMahon. MIZDAD told the podcast that he was told before the match not to get in the ring and just follow Shane McMahon's lead. He is the best in the world after all. However, like father, like son, Shane changed his mind during the match and told MIZDAD to get in the ring. Shane then gave MIZDAD some of his patented best in the world knee strikes and broke one of MIZDAD's ribs. He truly is the best in the world. Someone else on that injured list is former bar member Sheamus. Sheamus hasn't been on WWE TV since the SmackDown After Mania, where he teamed with Cesaro and Drew McIntyre in a losing effort to New Day and reportedly suffered a concussion in the match. These reports were seemingly confirmed when the bar was split up when Cesaro was drafted to Raw in the somehow still ongoing superstar shakeup. When will you end? Whilst there isn't a ton of news on when Sheamus will return to the ring, Raja are now reporting that there is some concern backstage in WWE that Sheamus could be winding down his career in the near future, with Sean Ross Sapp of Fightful saying that there are people backstage who are amazed that Sheamus is even still wrestling at this point, considering his spinal stenosis injury. So that could mean both Sheamus and MIZDAD might not make it to WrestleMania 36, and there is a chance Lars Sullivan won't either. Last week saw comments made by Lars Sullivan from a bodybuilding message board in 2008 again be brought to light. The comments, which are incredibly hate-filled, racist, sexist, and homophobic, have all been brought to the public attention on several occasions before. However, this time we've heard from WWE stars themselves about the situation, with both Big E and Kalisto posting about it on Twitter, and Sullivan himself released a statement to Wrestling Inc. saying, "There is no excuse for the inappropriate remarks that I made years ago. They do not reflect my personal beliefs nor who I am today, and I apologize to anyone I offended," which, while generic, is a little bit better than Hulk Hogan's "sorry I got caught, brother" apology. Sullivan is currently on WWE's European tour, with no signs of his mega push coming to an end, and WrestleVotes reported last week that WWE are going the Shaun of the Dead route, having a cup of tea while all this blows over. Brian Alvarez of Figure 4 Online has also reported on Wrestling Observer Live that Lars spoke to New Day in person and apologized for his comments to them. But there is someone that WWE will listen to more than its wrestlers and fans when it comes to issues like this, and that's corporate sponsors. Last year, WWE tried to name their WrestleMania Women's Battle Royal after former women's champion the Fabulous Moolah, despite the well-publicized dark history of abuse by Moolah and the negative connotations connected to her name. However, it wasn't the fan backlash that got the name changed to the WrestleMania Women's Battle Royal, but instead pressure from the event's sponsor, Snickers. And now one Reddit user has actually reached out to Mars, the makers of Snickers, to alert them about Lars Sullivan's comments, with the company replying, "We learned of Lars Sullivan's comments recently and share in your shock and disgust. As a values-based company, we find this behavior abhorrent and unacceptable. We have engaged with the WWE to discuss this situation and seek to understand what actions they will take to swiftly address this matter." Now, there's been no further comment from WWE on the situation, and Brian Alvarez has backed up WrestleVote's report, saying on Wrestling Observer Live that WWE felt this was a dead issue. Someone whose WWE future seems certainly brighter is the current Raw and SmackDown Women's Champion Becky Lynch. Despite many fans feeling that Charlotte Flair is WWE's favorite wrestler and the company favors blonde women over those who are not blonde, it's been heavily reported by various outlets that Becky is Vince McMahon's current golden girl, with plans to have her as the face of the women's division going forward, especially with Ronda Rousey taking time away from the company to start a family. It's also been reported that Lynch might once again find herself in the main event of WrestleMania next year when WWE sails the 7 seas for WrestleMania 36.
You are a pirate! You are a pirate!
And yaha fiddly dee, who will Becky Lynch's opponent be? Well, it had been reported that the 3 names lined up for Lynch at Mania next year were Charlotte Flair, a returning Ronda Rousey, and Stephanie McMahon because she invented women's wrestling, remember. However, Dave Meltzer has now reported that while Lynch is still set for a big match at Mania next year, it won't be against any of those names. And it should be noted that prior to WrestleMania, Meltzer reported that WWE planned to have Lynch, Flair, and Lacey Evans as the top 3 stars in the women's division in 2019. Which looked to be a correct report given the 2 title matches at Money in the Bank this Sunday. So there is a chance that Evans is being lined up for Becky's Mania match next year. However, this is WWE in 2019 and plans are changing on a weekly basis, so we can probably expect this to be a very different story when Mania 36 rolls around in 2020. And once Money in the Bank is out of the way, there's the small matter of WWE heading back to Saudi Arabia next month. Despite all the negative press the shows bring the company, WWE is heading back to Saudi Arabia for their 3rd show as part of their 10-year deal with the country. The as-yet-to-be-named show was quietly announced on Twitter and WWE's website, with no storyline pushes for it on Raw or SmackDown so far. Not only are WWE unmoving in their relationship with Saudi Arabia, but they're also spending the big bucks to bring back Brock Lesnar, The Undertaker, and Goldberg for the show. And now, according to WrestleVote, we have a name for the 3rd Saudi Arabia show, which reportedly will be Sand of Time. Prince of Persia to WWE confirmed. WWE's relationship with Saudi Arabia has come under a lot of scrutiny, from the country's archaic treatment of women, the public beheadings, and the murder of Washington Post journalist Jamal Khashoggi last year. However, it has been reported that WWE makes so much money from these events, way more than they make for WrestleMania, it's highly unlikely they'll waver on their relationship. They'll just keep coming up with awful show names. Someone who could be at a future Saudi Arabia show is former Impact World Champion Eli Drake. Drake was released from Impact Wrestling last month after Drake refused to do an intergender match with Tessa Blanchard at United We Stand over WrestleMania weekend. And he found himself in hot water following comments he made on the Wrestling Perspective podcast, where he talked about his frustrations with the company and his push. And it's now been reported by Sean Ross Sapp of Fightful that WWE have interest in signing Eli Drake, noting that several people in the company really like his promo skills. According to Sapp, WWE were waiting for Drake to finish up with Impact before approaching him, which means we could hear about Drake coming into the company sooner rather than later. Drake had previously wrestled in NXT in 2013 as Slate Randall. You thought the Viking Experience was a bad name, but left after just 1 year, citing issues with then head trainer Bill DeMott. Drake went to Impact Wrestling, where he became one of their biggest and most pushed acts. But someone who won't be in NXT if Drake does sign there is Percy Watson. It was reported from the latest set of NXT TV tapings that Beth Phoenix had replaced Watson on the commentary booth alongside Mauro Ranallo and Nigel McGuinness, but there was no reason given for Watson's absence. And it's now been reported by Casey Michael of Squared Circle Sirens that Percy Watson has actually quit the company, tweeting that he wants to do acting and not be a commentator or personality or wrestler apparently. Watson returned to NXT in 2016 as a commentator and also provided color commentary for 205 Live, Main Event, and most recently The Worlds Collide over WrestleMania weekend. He's since been replaced on 205 205 Live by Aiden English and on main events by the likes of Sam Roberts and David Otunga. So yeah, David Otunga is still employed with the company apparently. This weekend might see Money in the Bank on Sunday, but the day before, on Saturday the 18th, it's all about Nottingham in the UK. One of the most exciting new independent British promotions, WrestleGate, will be hosting their Lion Spirit show in Nottingham's Rushcliffe Arena with an incredible main event. Young high flyer Robbie X versus UK wrestling legend Jodie Fleisch versus the former Neville from WWE Pac. The card is stacked with Rampage Brown, Chris Ridgway, Nathan Cruz, and more. Get your tickets using the link in the video description below now, with just £15 general admission and £25 for front row seats. And don't worry if you can't physically get to the show, as you can catch up on all WrestleGate's events so far by joining their on-demand service at WrestleGatePro.pivotshare.com. And stay tuned to WrestleTalk, as we have got a huge announcement on Thursday that will show you as viewers don't just support WrestleTalk, you support indie wrestling. Thank you for watching, and a special thank you to our pledge hammers on Patreon, some of which you can see scrolling their way into my stomach. It's Game of Thrones week over on Screenstalker, so head over there to check out Laurie Blake's rundown of the latest episode, and watch WrestleTalk's new series Screen Grapple by clicking the video over there. I've been Luke Owen, and that was Mecha Wrestling.